morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to be having a little bit of a look at, well, the end. Not at a Pokemon TCG. That would be frankly absurd. What we're looking at today, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Pokemon TCG Online, PTCGO. Now, it is, of course, worth remembering that PTCGO is not the only online client. We've got Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, PTCG Live, and essentially, that's taking over. We've known for a while that PTCG Live is coming. This isn't like a new thing. Live has been in beta all over the world for a while now. What is interesting, what is different here, is that it's now becoming the only option, and I know that not everybody is happy about this. So let's have a gander at exactly what's going on, shall we? So the tweet went out yesterday. Today we want to share an important Pokemon trading card game online update. Pokemon TCG Crown Zenith is the final expansion released in PTCGO. While PTCGO will remain active, TCG products launch after the 1st of March. And that is the 1st of March, even though if you're English like me, you'll read that as the 3rd of January. It is the 1st of March. Won't be supported. Okay. Cool, I suppose. And what that means is that if you're somebody like myself, who has been kind of waiting to decide whether they should migrate over to PTCG Live or stay on PTCGO, well, there's no question anymore, ladies and gentlemen. You need to get your migration done. Of course, I have in the past done some videos for the Pokemon Company on PTCGO, so I was never, ever going to switch over until they essentially told me to, just in case they ever wanted me to again. That's why I never made the transition over. But now that decision is being taken out of everybody's hands, because, I mean, look, this ends PTCGO. Let's be perfectly clear. This gets rid of PTCGO. Because you can't play it. Not if you're in any way, shape, or form serious about the game. Crown Zenith will be on there. That's awesome. But then we're going to launch into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And that launches at the end of March. And, you know, you've got things like the Mimikyu EX box at the beginning of March. And I'm not expecting a Mimikyu EX box to be some kind of big game-breaking thing, alright? I'm not expecting Mimikyu EX to really make much of an impact on the metagame. That's not the point. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is that you don't have a choice one way or the other. You can't play with the latest cards, which means realistically, you can't actually prepare for tournaments. You can't test for tournaments, you can't get ready, it's over. At that stage, the only people playing PTCGO, and there will inevitably be some people playing PTCGO, they're going to be playing an out-of-date format with out-of-date cards, and the reality is that over time there will be fewer and fewer people, and it will be harder and harder to find a game. So, although PTCGO isn't being shut down per se, it essentially is, because it's not going to be useful in any way, shape, or form. But this does lead to a few interesting things. I mean, it doesn't affect that many people, but one thing that needs to be borne in mind is that the Team Challenge, as it stands at the moment, is still happening. Here's an image of a staff Gardevoir map, because I don't know, it's a cool map. But the Team Challenge is currently going on, and the Team Challenge is currently going on PTCGO. And it's obviously not going to last forever, but while the Team Challenge is still happening, those players that are still involved are not going to be able to move over to PTCG Live. Obviously. Because as soon as they do, they're no longer able to play in the Team Challenge, and that would be silly because, you know, the knockout rounds are happening at the moment, the players still involved are doing pretty well. So those players are going to be delayed moving over for a little while, which is going to become kind of awkward, because what this announcement is going to do, it is going to lead to a mass exodus. Like players like me who have had whatever reason they might have, I've told you mine, for not moving over from PTCGO to PTCG Live, we're all going to move now. Like that is going to be something that happens sooner rather than later. I'm busy this weekend, but next weekend or next week or at some point very soon, because I play PTCGO a lot, I am going to have to sit down and migrate over. Because I want to be playing a whole bunch of PTCG Live. And that means players that are stuck on PTCGO for things like the Team Challenge are going to be at a disadvantage because they're just not going to be able to test. But there's other things going on, and the number one thing, and I don't think this is a huge surprise to anybody out there, but the number one thing going on at the moment is PTCG Live isn't ready. And I don't think that's a particularly controversial statement, and I don't think that's an unfair statement. I have not, as I've told you, I've not been playing PTCG Live because I've been stuck on PTCGO. But I know a lot of people have. And I've been following their journeys. I've been talking to a lot of my friends that have been playing PTCG Live, and it's not ready. PTCGO over the past few months, and it's never been perfect. It's hard to have a perfect client along these lines. I can remember when Barrascuda was weirdly banned. Yeah, that was a thing. It was just a bug. Bugs happen. But PTCG Live has been a lot worse than PTCGO. And I know an awful lot of people have been sharing their concerns that it's not going to be ready for when we end up, switching to this in March. And the thing is, we are heading to the European International Championship. Like, one date the Pokemon players have absolutely got in their, in their diaries, that's the word I'm looking for. All the dates of the international championships. We've got Oceania coming up in a couple of weeks. That's not going to be impacted. But April the 14th to the 16th, we've got Europe, which is basically 6 weeks after we're all told to go over to PTCG Live. And those 6 weeks are going to be very, very important. They are the final 6 weeks of testing before the event actually happens. So we need that time. And it's going to be a big event. It's going to be a very big event. European Internationals always is. Latin America and Oceania tend to be a little bit smaller because of travel and things of that nature. But Europe and North America are the big ones. Obviously, North America bigger than Europe. But this is going to be a big internationals. There's going to be, probably, I would imagine, around about 1,000 masters, something along those lines. It's happening at the Excel. Interesting little side note, the Excel, yes, that is the same venue where the World Championships happened last year. But it's also the venue where we've already had 2 international championships for Europe. That is a thing that totally happened. So, something to really bear in mind, something that is really important. Internationals this year is not going to look like Worlds did. It's not going to have that budget. It's going to look like the previous internationals did at the Excel, which is awesome and was amazing and was great. But it was not on the same scale. It's not going to have the entire venue. It's not going to have the banners everywhere like it did before. It's going to look like the internationals previously. It's not going to look like Worlds. I'd love to be wrong about that, but we've seen 2 international championships at the Excel. We know what this one's going to look like. But the problem here is, at the moment, up till now, PTCGO has been working fine for testing. It's not been perfect, but it has worked just fine for testing. I tested my silly deck just fine before Liverpool Regionals and then couldn't get a ticket to play. But that's not the point. My testing was fine. PTCG Live, by all the reports, and these aren't first-hand reports, these aren't me playing the game, this is what I'm hearing from other people. But the reports I'm hearing from other people are that at the moment, PTCG Live is just not ready. And there isn't much time between the sunsetting of PTCGO and the European International Championships. And we're going to need that time for testing. And that is the worry that I think a lot of people are having. I mean, the lovely Stefan Ivanov, who, won 2 North American International Championships, very clearly one of the best players in the world, responded to this with, like many, I'm not confident at all that the numerous bugs on TCG Live will be fixed in 2 months. Which means we won't have a good way to playtest the post-rotation format, which could have a huge impact on EUIC results. And when players like Stefan are talking about this, we're not talking about some big reaction from somebody who's trying to farm engagement or anything like that. We are talking one of the best players in the world, one of the players who clearly is going to be one of the favourites going into that event to place highly or win the whole gosh darn thing. This is a serious, legitimate concern. And, of course, brings up another point we need to mention before we finish here, rotation. remember that with the advent of Scarlet and Violet, we are going to be rotating. And the rotation is going to go into effect on the 14th of April. Yes, that is the first day of the EUIC. No, that's not a coincidence. EUIC is actually going to be an amazing tournament for so many reasons, but it's going to be the first E onwards rotation. It's essentially battle styles on. Not exactly, we go by regulation marks now, but it is to all intents and purposes battle styles on. We're rotating out the first year of Sword and Shield. And it's going to be the tournament where Scarlet and Violet becomes legal for the first time, because April the 14th is also the day that Scarlet and Violet becomes legal for tournament play. So EUIC is going to be huge for two reasons. Number one, it's the day that Scarlet and Violet becomes legal for tournament play. Number two, it's the day the rotation comes into effect. It is a huge event. And I stress that because, and this is really, really important, that makes the testing so much more crucial. And if we end up on PTCG Live, and PTCG Live is not ready, and I've already shown you, concerns from real top-level players that it might not be, this could end up being a big thing. What we know for certain is that essentially, as of the 1st of March, PTCGO is done, and we all need to be on PTCG Live. That's what we know. The hope is that this is going to divert all the resources over to PTCG Live. We're imagining things like the rotation isn't going to be coded into PTCGO. The rules changes with rotation aren't going to be coded in. Essentially, it's just going to be left there to gather dust. All of the development resources will be put into PTCG Live, and it will be brought up to speed. Because there's things like PTCG Live works on your phone in a way that PTCGO doesn't, that if they can get it up to a good standard of functioning, this is going to be a win for players. This is going to be a net positive. However, that is a big if. As always, I'm going to be watching it and I'll bring you any news. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you're going to miss PTCGO. Tell me if you are looking forward to PTCG Live. Tell me anything you want to tell me. And hey, here's just one more excuse to show you what PTCGO looked like during the beta. Because yes, I have been playing PTCGO since the original beta launched back in the black and white era. Oh yeah. I've been doing this a while. But now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me all your thoughts. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel. You can get some bonus podcasts where I answer all of your questions. You can join a Discord and chat with us about various things. Doesn't have to be Pokemon related. And you can get shout outs on the channel like the lovely Jelena Renji, who is one of our lovelier supporters. And to be fair, you're all pretty gosh darn lovely. But Jelena's been in touch on a couple of occasions and seems like a very lovely person. So thank you very much for all the support and for being a lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.